supposed to be driving that long, but I was like, I might as well record because for some reason there's a lot of traffic right here. And it should only take me like 10 minutes to get home, but it's going to take way longer than that. So, sure. Last I recorded, I was talking about Power Struck. So I think it's time to talk about, we'll do All But Ordinary. So All But Ordinary, originally I started writing this in 7th grade. That's kind of how I distinguish when I have written things. Basically, this started, I was just sitting out on the trampoline outside at night, and I was just like looking up at stars, and it was getting very like existential and deep in my head. And I'm looking up, and I was like, what if I just wrote about like the scenery and all the stuff that I'm hearing? And then I was like, what if it was all gone? So I decided to write like, was it all but ordinary? There was wind through the trees, blah 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 blah, and I was like, but like we don't have that. Like the surface is desolate. So then it like basically turned into like nuclear, like World War III happened, nuclear war, and all that kind of stuff. People live underground in bunkers, and then she gets taken by she was Raina at the time. It'll be easier to distinguish names by just go by that. So Raina, she's taken, and there's like this whole thing with like friends and family. There's like a lot of redundant stuff and like dreams, and like dreams are like a whole thing in this story. So there's like weird dreams that have happened, and then she gets abducted and taken to this facility where they start experimenting on her and then give her powers, and she gets energy powers. So she gets these she basically can control it was basically like controlling electricity, but it was energy because it was also like it ends up working like with people and stuff too. So it's like an all-powerful kind of ability, and like and plants and stuff. So it's like really important. It's like the energy. It's like the Force basically. She's given the Force. Other people have different abilities and stuff too, but she ends up in her sleep meeting. I called him Ukla at the time, but I refused to use that name, so it's Max. She met Max, who is like a little white fluffy-haired boy. I love him so much. Oh, he's so sweet. His character has changed a lot in the newest renditions of him, but we're going with first original All But Ordinary. She meets him in dreams, and then like other people with like powers and stuff, and it's like totally weird. And like it's because he can pull people into his dream dimension. So he does that. So he does that, and they're meeting, and he's like, this is really interesting and strange. Like the way that she appears in the dreams is different, and that's because of her energy ability for whatever reason. And she meets like all these other people. We have Stella, Riker, I think his original name was Miles, but now he's Amari. Zara, who stayed the same. And then there's a few others in this one. There was Alicia, and there's a lot. There's like a big group of people with all these different powers, and they were like taking kids and experimenting on them. So like the whole story ends up being them trying to break out, but also Raina finds out that she can heal the surface, and that was the whole point of this underground facility, was that of this secret base, was that they were trying to create a person that could heal the surface and bring it back to what it once was, which is like, how we were. So that's the whole idea. And there's like all these other characters. There's like there's Anita, she's like the lead scientist lady. Think of her as the doctor lady from Halo. themselves. There's like a ton of her, so it's just her manning the whole facility, basically. And there's like this whole thing with like a fake death. No one really knew she was alive. And she's the wife of Raina's uncle, so her dad's brother. And her dad, it makes things for the surface, like basically trying to make houses and like cars again, and ways to interact with the surface of the world, even though you can't go up there. And then there's also like this whole thing where she can breathe on the surface and she's different because of this, and it's because her dad actually has invulnerability powers because he was experimented on before she was born by Anita, and then there's like a huge lab explosion where she died, supposedly, and her husband helped cover it up, and that whole kind of thing. It's getting a little jumbled in my brain because I'm trying to remember what the first version was versus the newer one. I think that happened in the first version. And then basically it ends with Rain going to the surface, and she finds out that she sacrifices herself and harnesses all the energy around her, and she actually also uses Max's ability and harnesses the energy of that dimension to refuel the planet, and they become like spirits. And that's basically the story. That was the original one. There's like a lot of random things that happen in there. There's a whole thing where like Costella can see the future, where she got to see a possible future where it kind of ends badly, so then she decides that yeah, the right course of action is to sacrifice herself, even though she'll never get to have her precious daughter, and it's so sad. Yeah. Oh, so sweet. That would be the original version. It was interesting when I was writing this one, though, because I had a friend who was reading it at the time while I was writing it, because I was writing it and I was like, yeah, this has been kind of fun, and I kind of based some of the characters and some of like the friends off of my friends, and was getting their input. And she was reading it, and she would come up to me and she's like, where's the next chapter? And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll write it. And honestly, that is the best way that I write things, is when people are like asking for it, because otherwise I'll just go and write whatever I'm kind of inspired to. But if someone's like asking me to, I'll be like, yeah, okay, I'll write the next part of it. Okay, cool, you want it to? Sweet. And there was times when we would be up at like midnight, 1 a.m. and she'd be on the Google Doc with me and reading as I wrote, and that was honestly super fun. I kind of miss it. I wish I could do it again, to be honest. Maybe one day I'll have people read while I write again. It's just difficult because I don't have a lot of time to write. You see, I'm literally doing my videos while I drive, so it's kind of difficult that way, but it's been kind of fun. And that story was interesting because I had written it and then I was like, this actually isn't bad. It's really weird, has a weird ending and whatever, but it wasn't terrible. And I really liked a lot of the powers and stuff and the whole underground city aesthetic. So it is actually, I figured out how to tie it in to the sci-fi story that I'm making. It worked interestingly well. That would be another video. I'm arriving at home, so I'm going to sign off and say goodbye. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little telling of All But Ordinary. You'll get a lot more of it because, man, it spurred on a lot in the sci-fi series. Alright. Just gonna park safely.